is more than the silence of guns, more than treaties signed on paper. Peace is justice in our courts, food on our tables, love in our homes, and tolerance in our hearts. On this International Peace Day, the world calls us to reflection because without peace, there is no future. Good morning and welcome to The Voices. Together with me today this morning is my able colleague Bulus Joanna Ray and I am Fatima Abubakar Oyibo. Good morning, Joanna.
Good morning, Fatima.
You look so pretty this
You
morning.
look good this
And
morning.
this olive green is doing so many things to your skin.
Thank you.
So how was the weekend?
The weekend was good. How'd you get to work this morning?
My. It was a bit hectic, but we thank God. We're here and we're here to
Yeah.
do the work of the Lord, if I must say. Anyways, Joanna, I think this is your first time on The Voices.
Yeah, this is my first time.
Yeah, so you know how it's done. I don't have to explain anything to you. So I'll just say welcome to The Voices.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically what we usually do as we do it, before we go to the focus of the day, we have before we go to our topic, we have some trendy issues that we discuss. But today we are going to be talking about the International Peace Day, and it was celebrated yesterday. It's usually marked on the 21st of September every year. You know it, right?
Yes.
So, but before we go to the International Peace Day, we are going to start from our first focus today, and it takes us to the state of Nigeria's infrastructure, particularly our roads. Okay, so the Auchi Ekpoma Expressway in Edo State and the Onitsha Ogbo Link Road in Delta North are now more like battlefields than highways. So, despite billions allocated each year for maintenance, these critical roads remain dilapidated, unsafe, and unfit for use. Agencies like FEMA appear idle, while citizens bear the burden, losing goods, vehicles, and sometimes their life. So this problem goes beyond potholes and broken bridges. It reflects a leadership crisis, right? Politicians obsessed with power struggles, godfatherism, and election cycles, rather than the urgent task of governance. The truth is simple. Until Nigeria separates politics from governance, our institutions will continue to fail, and citizens will remain the casualties of negligence.
Yes.
So the big questions, Joanna Ray. If billions are budgeted yearly for road maintenance, why do highways like Auchi, Ekpoma, Onitsha, Ogbo Road remain death traps? Who should truly be held accountable?
Well, I think it's not just about the budgeting because obviously every year budgets are being made for these roads. I feel like the problems come from like the contractors. Most of these roads are given to like companies that are like politically connected,
Yes.
and then most of this they don't have like the capacity to do the work,
Yeah.
to do a good work, let's say a
Yeah.
good work. And then I think again most of these roads they they start making them and then they are not completed.
They are not
That is
completed.
that is another problem. So who should be held accountable? The contractors. These contractors that have been paid to do the work and they are not doing the work or they are not doing a good job. And then I think political leaders too should be held accountable, and Ministry of Works and so on.
I feel like at the end of the day, contractors to just like you said, the contractors should be held accountable. Why? Because one thing I feel is maybe some of these contractors are just like you said are not capable to do the job. You understand? So they tend to bite more than they can chew. So at the end of the day, the people suffer, the citizens suffer, and the work is not being completed. So what is the way forward? So, can Nigeria ever achieve meaningful infrastructural development without first separating politics from governance and, prioritizing discipline in public service?
Well, I think it would be very difficult. I must say it can be done, but it
Yeah.
will be very difficult because I feel like most of these infrastructures, when like a new they're very difficult to get past because when a new administration comes in, they don't want to complete this because
There's no
the person, yeah, there's no
continuity.
continuity because the person who started this is not from my political
Yes,
party and
yes,
stuff.
yes,
So I
yes.
think if we don't get to move past like political partying and put like these infrastructures as a national priority, I don't think we can move past these issues.
Because you see sometimes when you go on the, okay, let's say for example the Abuja Kaduna road, I think that road has been, I don't know, I passed through that road, I think was it in 2022 last, but from that year till now people are still complaining about how the road is not being repaired. The road is, in fact, the road is getting worse and worse every day. And even me coming from home, for example, this Gwawalada Giri road, it has been there for months now. I think they just started the construction back about a few days ago. So these are some of the things we should also be looking at. The contractors, they're, just like I said, they are biting more than they can chew. And even the lack of continuity from the politicians. I feel like when it comes to these things, politics should be dropped one place so governance can take place. You understand? So instead of you be like, okay, this person is not from my political party. Okay, where, let's look. Okay, this is person that I am taking over from. Okay, where did this person stop? Oh, he stopped at point B. Let me continue from there to point C. But no, in any case, you see them, they go, okay, he stopped at point B. Since it's not from
Mine,
XYZ
yes.
party, let me go and start from point C.
Another,
Okay, the
yeah.
point from B to C. What happens to that place? These are some of things that they should be looking at.
Yes.
So they should put more emphasis on governance instead of maybe politics, right? Because if you put, and okay, another thing I also noticed that most of these people for the governance, they're politically inclined. They prefer whatever they do it because they're using it as a form of campaign,
Yes.
allegedly. So basically you see that when somebody wants to do something, he does it when it's almost time for the election. You understand?
Yeah.
So they use it to, oh,
As a
okay,
campaign
as a
tool.
campaign tool.
Mhm.
Thank you. So it's basically like that. But I feel like, just like I said, governance should take place and politics should be put aside because we are electing you for you to be able for because we feel you're capable and you're govern you can govern us, right? You can be a good leader. That is why people are electing you. So why do you have to put politics in before governance? Governance should be before politics. That okay, that's basically it for that. Let's move to our second focus of today. So we touched on one of the most sensitive issues, which is child safety. Yeah. So a viral story shook many Nigerians. A mother who dropped off her baby at a crash returned barely 15 minutes later, and then she found all of them asleep, which is very, very, very suspicious. All the babies at the same time, they're all asleep. So, so her suspicion is that the caregivers may have sedated the children just to make them easier to manage.
Mhm.
So let's go and watch this video, and then when we come back, we'll have a good discussion on it. Let's watch this video and let's talk about this. Let's discuss about this suspicion that this mother has.
People, I was employed in one school today, primary school, to come and teach children. So I am to teach basic 4, and I went there. So when I went there, they asked me to go and meet the proprietors, the woman that owned the school. So they asked me to drop my baby, that I can't take my baby with me to go and teach because she will be a distraction to me. And I thought about it and I said that okay, it's nice. So we discussed about it that they will be deducting my salary because of my baby, this and this, but they'll give me a discount. And I agree because it will also help me. So I left my baby there. I went to the proprietors, we talked. It's not even up to 50 minutes. When I came back, I met children, more than 15 children sleeping. At the same time, sleeping. One was even looking like this. I was like, is this one in Bessie? Be what? I was surprised. That moment, I couldn't hold myself again. I was like, why are they sleeping? Why is all of them sleeping? They were like, they put
Okay, so you have watched the video. So this disturbing account raises serious questions about the safety standards in our daycare centers, the training of caregivers, and the lack of regulatory oversight in child welfare institutions. Parents entrust their most precious gift, their children to these centers, and such stories are erode public confidence. Are we paying enough attention to the well-being of children in creches and daycares across Nigeria, or are we sacrificing their safety at the altar of convenience? So let's talk about how safe our Nigerian creches and daycare centers for children today are.
Well, I think it's an uneven standard. Some of them are doing excellently well, and
Yes.
some are not doing too well. And I also think safety varies dramatically when like it also comes to like the location of where these institutions are.
Mm,
Maybe like some of them can be doing so well in like the urban areas, and
yeah.
they're not so well in like the rural
Areas.
areas. And then I also think that like how much the people that own it are willing to like give up to maintain these places also can determine how safe the environment is for the children.
Okay, we are talking about maybe the rural part of maybe the rural parts might not be doing well because of environmental factor.
Yes.
But let me make an example. I'm not calling names of any places,
Yeah.
but I have witnessed personally. I have witnessed where a daycare center in the urban area have have their own caregivers eat the baby's food. It's funny, but it
Yeah.
actually happens, and I have witnessed it. All right,
Yeah.
you see that these children, they go to school, and then before as a mother, you know your child. You
Yes.
can feel full their food warmers to the brim, but you know the capacity of your child.
Yes.
You know when they start eating too much. You know when they eat less. So imagine if, for example, your child eats maybe half of the food, up to half of the food warmer, and then at the end of the day, like this week, it's up to half of the food warmer, and then from next week you start seeing that everything is down,
Empty. Yes.
everything is empty, even including the snacks and everything. And then when you come back, you carry your baby is light. You can feel it. You understand?
Yes.
Your baby
I
is light. So now you start to have your suspicions. At the end of the day, you now go, you now, spot check. That is why spot checking is very, very important.
Important,
It's
yes.
very, very important. You now start to spot check. And then at the end of the day, you go to the school and you catch them red-handed. So at the end of the day, you find out that they are actually pumping these children with water
and eating
their food. In fact, you see that this particular case that I witnessed is a friend's baby. We went there together, so we went for the spot checking together.
Yeah.
The caregiver actually mixes the water with sugar because to give the child energy. You understand? So she mixed the water with sugar and then give the child to drink, right? And it's not only one child. So what she does is like, okay, she goes through to everybody's lunch bag, every baby's lunch bag. Whichever food is enticing, that is the one she picks. Picks the child, gives you sugar, water, and then you just leave the child and then eat the food. Because they'll actually give you maybe a spoon or two to just taste your mother's cooking and that's all. So tell me.
That's really sad.
This happens in an urban area.
Yeah.
So, are you telling me that even the urbans cannot make such?
They can. That's why I said like it's an uneven standard. Some are doing really well, and some are not doing so well. But also, actually, a major factor can also be the location.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that the urban institutions cannot make mistakes. Of course, they do.
So at the end of the day, although the owner of the place didn't know, because it's like the daycare was under a school, so they had to report, and at the end of the day, she was relieved from her duties. But should there be stronger regulations and monitoring to prevent like possible abuse or negligence?
Well, oh, yes, of course. Of course, there should be. And I feel like there should be like mandatory like regulations and licensing. These people should be under like a body where they can be checked and know and like the to know whether these caretakers are also qualified to take care of children. So I think they should be under like bodies that,
Just
regulate
like
what
just
happens
like the
and
way other schools are
are
under a
under.
body.
Yes, yes,
That
yes.
this daycare is true. This daycare should also be under a regulatory body.
Body.
People that could just they have a higher, higher authorities that
Yes.
could actually,
Just
you
come
know,
in for a
come
surprise
in for a
check.
surprise check. Exactly. Maybe we should have like maybe a child service or whatever in Nigeria here, something
Yes.
that has to do with children. Then and then even this even brings me to one thing that have been bothering me: early childhood education. So according to study that I have read, it is said that a child must be up to 5 years before the child even goes to kindergarten. Not even
Mm. Take
the not daycare,
Okay,
not even the
primary
pre-nursery.
school.
You have
Okay.
to go for kindergarten. But today you see children as early as
Two,
two
three.
years, 2, 3 years. I think I had there's a boy right now going to school. He's not even up to 3. He's already going to school. And online the other day, I think on Facebook, I saw a baby of 6 months with uniform. I'm serious. With a uniform in school, she came back from school. All these are the things that people are supposed to check, because if we have such bodies, they would be able to, filter out these children, take them to their appropriate classes, appropriate grades that
Yes.
they are supposed to be. Are you going? Is this child supposed to be in daycare? Is this child supposed to be in
Preschool.
KG,
Yeah.
preschool, and the rest? So these are the kind of things that the regulatory body
But you
for
should
such
look out
places should
for.
look out for. So let's move on. So as parents, what signs should we look out for to know if our children are being properly cared for or mistreated?
Well, I think as not I am not a parent yet.
Yet.
But I think some of the signs the parents should look out for, maybe when the child comes back home, is maybe after a while, if you feel your children, obviously. I
Yes.
know that this child is very confident and this child loves to talk a lot and all, and then you start noticing like the child is becoming too fearful, anxious, maybe when you just and the child's like,
Yeah, yes.
yeah,
Start flinching,
yes, and then maybe they come home looking too
tired,
dirty
too
and
dull.
tired and dull. And then maybe they don't look too healthy, just like you said, maybe they eat their food and they feed them with water and stuff. So I feel like regular checkups too
Yeah.
would help. And then if you start noticing like some behavioral changes, that should
All
also be
those
something you
things.
look out for.
Yeah, there's so many reports about some of these daycares and creches, and we're not saying that all of them are bad.
Yes.
None of it's not all that are bad, but there are some few bad eggs in that we need to pick them out, filter them out, so that the child daycare system will be perfect. Because not all mothers have most
Um,
these days when everybody's trying to hustle, so everybody's trying to make one or two changes, well, the dad is working, the
Mom
mother
is
is
working.
working. You can't just actually, be there completely for your child or children
Yes.
in a sense. So you just have to find a way to put them in a place, not because you're neglecting your children, but because you're trying to become good parents. Because these days, without funds, without financial, without finances, there's no how you can become good parents. Even
Yes.
no matter how, because you need to take them to school. They need to feed. They need to be clothed. They need to have shelter. All these things and many, many more. We are not even talking about healthcare. You understand?
Yeah.
A bottle of vitamin C now, vitamin C syrup. I don't know. I think it's the price is even hiking. Not to talk of we are talking about other medicines, other drugs,
Yes.
and checkups, regular checkups. When you go to the hospital, the amount of tests they do even before treatment. All these things you need to be financially strong to be able to take care of your child. So all these things. So because you have to do that, you need to find a caregiver for your children. So we need to, that's why we need to pick out the bad ones so that these children will be well taken care of.
Yes.
As a mother, as a parent, as parents, you can't do everything on your own.
Sure.
If you can do everything on your own, then you won't be able to take your child to school. You'll be like, okay, I can homeschool my child, but you can't do everything on your own. So that is why we're not saying all daycares are bad,
Yes.
but we need to just filter out the ones that are just trying to destroy the lives of our children.
Yes.
You see some of them, they go to these daycares, they come back, they are stooling, they are having diarrhea, vomiting, all these things. At the end of the day, you find out some of these caregivers, they just leave the place dirty, they don't clean them up, all these and more.
I was going to say that, sorry for short.
Okay.
You were speaking of how it can be a lot to take care of the child. I think another thing to look out for when you're looking for like an institution, or as a parent that has a child in like a daycare or something, you should look at like the child to staff ratio.
Yeah.
Sometimes, just like you said, it's a lot to take care of a child.
Yeah.
And then some of these places you see like 15 children, just two people,
Two
or
people,
one person. It can be a lot, and it becomes overwhelming. So they can be actually good people, but they can't just give the child all the care that the child requires, because it's a lot. I just thought to add that too.
And I noticed something with this daycares. They use whatever the parents pay, they use it to divide amongst themselves. So it could be that one person will open a daycare and wants to have all the money to themselves. So I think it's better for you to have quality than quantity.
That's true.
So whatever you can have, whatever children you can take care of as one person, it's good to have quality than quantity. And I know some daycares, they will tell you, okay, fine, even after paying that, there are some certain things, utility items that you can actually bring, maybe like detergent, soap, tissue papers, and the rest. You can actually include that if you know that maybe the money that is being paid is not enough for taking care of them. So each child will have their own care pack. They bring that from home. So they have their napkins, they have their detergents, their soaps that they'll be used to take care of the child. So if you can do things like that, I think it will make it more easier than you wanting to use. You're going to pay yourself for the service, at the same time you're using that to shop for all these utility items. So each child will bring their own care pack, especially some children react to soaps and detergents and whatever. So at least when it will help with also irritation and all that. So okay, let's quickly go on a break, and when we return, we go to our main topic of today, which is International Peace Day. Stay with us, don't go anywhere. Yes, on today's show, we mark the International Peace Day, a moment for reflection, dialogue, and collective action towards building a more peaceful world. Although International Peace Day was celebrated yesterday, 21st of September, as the world marks the International Peace Day, genocide is ongoing in Gaza. In fact, 96 Palestinians, 25 members of the same family were killed on the day the world is supposed to be celebrating peace. Is peace real or just an illusion? These and more as we focus on the International Peace Day. So before we go, a brief history. The International Peace Day was first established in 1981 by the United Nations General Assembly with the idea of creating a special moment for all humanity to reflect on the importance of peace. In 2001, the UN unanimously voted to strengthen it, setting September 21st as a day of global ceasefire and non-violence. Since then, it has become an occasion for countries, communities, and individuals to renew their commitment to ending conflict and promoting harmony. According to the United Nations, this year's theme is Act Now for a Peaceful World. The theme is a call to action for individuals, communities, and nations to take concrete steps to mobilize for peace amid increasing global turmoil and uncertainty. From violent conflict and terrorism to political intolerance, communal clashes, and even the silent wars of poverty and inequality, peace often feels fragile. Here in Nigeria, we have our share of challenges, from insurgency in the north to ethnic and religious divides and growing social discontent. But International Peace Day is not just about highlighting the problems, it is about asking what we as individuals, as a nation, and as part of the global community can do to strengthen peace. This morning on The Voices, we are joined by Muhammad Sani Moody. He is a State Publicity Secretary, Jamaatul Nasrul Islam of Plateau State. We'll be exploring so many critical questions with our guests. Good morning, Muhammad, Dr. Muhammad. Welcome to the show. So today we are going to be talking about peace. First and foremost, let's start with the meaning of peace. But before we go, I have my sister here in the studio with me, Bulus Joanna Ray. Joanna, can you say good morning to Dr. Muhammad?
Good morning, Dr. Mohammed.
Good morning. Thank you.
So let's start with, like I said, the meaning of peace. So what does International Peace Day mean to you in the Nigerian and global context?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And for us in Nigeria, peace means a lot. It means a lot to the individual, it means a lot to the family, it means a lot to the community. And when the United Nations declared the World Peace Day in 1981, ironically, just 2 decades later in 2001, when the UNGA restated its commitment to peace by strengthening the declaration and calling for more actions to enforce peace worldwide, we had a breakdown of peace right here in so many places in Nigeria. Around that time, we're having the disruption in Kaduna over the Sharia riots, and then followed by the disturbances in Plateau State, which of course snowballed into a larger conflict. So that is quite a big setback to our aspirations for peace. Peace means a lot to us in terms of development because it is indispensable for individual growth. It is indispensable for family peace and harmony within the communities and within the nation at large. Without peace, we cannot make progress, meaningful progress, socially, economically, and even politically. So peace is indispensable to our growth, development, and we need it for peaceful coexistence, especially in a country like Nigeria, where you have various, a lot of divergences, in terms of how the makeup of our communities, religion, ethnic, and other political and regional issues all interwoven. So we really need peace, and it's something that is essential, it's fundamental.
So would you say that our understanding of peace goes beyond the absence of war to include justice, fairness, and equality.
No, absolutely, that is it. That is it. It's just like when you say, okay, there is no conflict, but there is no development. So this means, of course, to us, it has to encompass all those issues, just issues of justice, fairness, equity, and that is what translates to harmony within the society generally.
So, globally, are we getting closer to peace or drifting further away from it?
No, the global situation is quite frightening. It's alarming. What we have from the Middle East, Asia, Africa, and all over, what we have is a highly alarming situation. It's worrying. If you look at it, just like you rightly said in the introduction, also as we are celebrating the World Peace Day, people are being killed in Gaza. Every morning you have figures that are just on the increase. You have figures of people that are innocent, civilian, defenseless people being killed on a daily basis for no reason other than they are exercising their right to live in their land. When you come to Africa, DR Congo is there, Darfur is there, Sudan itself is there. You go to other places in the Far East, you have Myanmar, you have conflict all over there, you have people being displaced. You go to Latin America, you have there, Venezuela is now boiling and the same country is going to. So all over the world, there is serious cause for concern. The signals are really showing red almost all over.
Sam, you spoke about Gaza, Sudan, Congo, and other countries. Can you cite examples of where peace efforts have worked and lessons Nigeria can learn from them?
Well, there are very many lessons that Nigeria can learn. First is the fact that what is not solved does not solve our problems. Dialogue is the key, is the answer, is the solution to all problems. When you talk, you find the way. There has been too much bloodshed in Gaza, but then the more bloodshed, the more complex, the more difficult it becomes. It becomes highly entangled, and there is really no sign of progress. As far as peace cannot be enforced in that place because of the power of one of the actors in the conflict, its strength, its military capability. Israel is in particular. No country in the world can enforce peace against Israel. So that is a lesson. When you are having a conflict with in which one of the actors is stronger, it has a mightier force. It becomes difficult to enforce peace. It becomes difficult even dialogue because they are stubborn simply because they have superior firepower over the Palestinians and they can conquer them. They think they can conquer them. The world is there defenseless and doing nothing. And that is to tell you that whatever it is in Nigeria, we have to do whatever it takes to avoid conflict. We have to do whatever it takes to dialogue. We have to do whatever it takes to institutionalize peace building among our communities. It is very, very important. It is very necessary. Wherever you have it, we have lessons from the Niger Delta. Through dialogue, we are able to secure peace there. And there has been a lot of progress. The area has been quite calm, even though in some places you may say it is fragile, but fragile peace is better than no peace at all.
So in Nigeria, insecurity remains a major challenge. Why has peace been so elusive despite government efforts?
Well, I cannot say, I may disagree with you in the latter part of the question where you said despite government efforts. Yes, this has been so elusive because of the lack of sincerity on the part of the actors. You see, when you go into dialogue, you have to be very sincere, you have to be honest, you have to be frank, you have to be open. Our experience in dialogue has shown that in most instances, the participants have not been sincere in it. Or where government is involved, and in most cases, government is involved in either in finding solutions to conflict. It may not be a party in the beginning of the conflict, but where solutions are needed, government is vital, government involvement is necessary. But you find that government somehow becomes lackluster in its approach to it for reasons that are best known to you. Sometimes you may find political reasons, lack of political will. So that is why I say I may disagree with you where you say despite government efforts. You find that in many places where you are having conflict, you don't have an institutionalized framework for peace building. You may have a peace building agency in the state, but how is it? Is it well equipped? How does it work? Is it an inclusive agency? When you find a peace building agency that is not inclusive enough, even within its own whatever, then you see that there is a problem. So in terms of a solution, it is always the government that bears the brunt, enforcing peace where necessary, providing the most needed balance in terms of how you treat your people. The government is not forthcoming in terms of funding the peacekeeping itself, in terms of funding all this. So really, government needs to do much more than it is doing in most of the situations we have at hand now. The government is not really doing well.
So speaking about the government not forthcoming in addressing the challenges, is this more of a failure of policy and leadership, or community participation?
Well, if you say it's a lack of policy and failure of leadership, it is tied. These two are tied together. Good leadership ensures that all are carried along. Good leadership ensures balance, equity, and fairness. So when you have leadership that is lacking in this, then you have a problem there. And you have a problem also in managing diversity. That is also a function of the leadership, where you have people of diverse interests and communities with diverse outlook, background, and so on. You have to have a leadership that will now look at all this, positively aggregate their needs and see how you can treat it and then handle it. Now that is the aspect of leadership. So it is tied, as I said, to both leadership and then because of the other issue that you mentioned. Then coming to the communities, I think leadership also drives communities to work for peace. Leadership drives communities to work for progress. Leadership drives communities to understand each other and then to leverage on the positive sides of their differences. In each difference, in any difference, there are positive aspects of it. I may be a Hausa man, the other man might be a Birom or Angas or Tarok, but then there are positive sides in our culture. There are positive aspects of our belief which we should leverage on to build a stronger and more resilient society. We can leverage on that to build peace within their communities, because in all that we believe in all that we do, we practice, there are things that promote godliness, there are things that promote kindness to one another, there are things that promote love. We have to leverage on this, and the government should help in aggregating this thing, building all this. So the fact is that the communities in most cases have to be driven to do these things. There is need for some kind of a driving force, which is lacking actually.
So, you made mention of culture. Speaking on that, do you think that ethnic and religious differences are often blamed for conflict? So, how do we turn diversity into a strength rather than a trigger?
Well, that is what I said. In all the cultures that I know, you hardly see somebody telling you that I have to kill Mr. A because my culture promotes that, or I will destroy Mr. B's property because my culture supports that destruction, or that I have to hate Mr. C because my culture dislikes him and I think I have to actualize it. You hardly find that in any of the cultures. Even when if you now take it from the side of the two dominant faiths we have in Nigeria, Islam and Christianity. Despite the fact that we all have our cultures as various ethnic communities, the influence of religion has dominated to the extent that we now, toy more along the line of beliefs than what actually the culture is. And of course, the cultures that are repugnant to social justice and things like that have to be done away with. And for long, you see that the communities don't do that. So we value more what we now have as articles of faith, how our faith teaches us to behave, and then relate with one another. But even among the unbelievers also, those that do not practice traditional religion or those that practice traditional religion, you also find that there are those good aspects of it where they say you love one another, you promote goodliness among the society. Now, so if you look at it, the aggregate of all we are doing is that when we talk of culture, we talk more about faith nowadays. And the faith teaches us to love one another, be kind to fellow mankind, serve humanity, fairly. That is what we are taught in our holy books. So we can build on that to have resilient societies, to have more peaceful societies. Probably what is lacking is that we rely more on things that are too artificial. Too artificial in the sense that sometimes the book, theoretical aspect of peace building doesn't really work as much as the practical aspect of it. If you look at it now, culturally, you go to the rural communities, they farm together. The beginning of agriculture season, it commences within the same community as a whole, and you see that each family or group show support one another when you are doing it. And then, of course, you go and tend in this man's farm, assist this one in watering his, farm and what have you. These are all part of those things that we live together. Now, when you come to look at it also from one of the urban communities, you have markets where, irrespective of your tribe, your belief, and what have you go together. Live together as traders in the same market, shops opposite one another, shops living together, whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or animals or whatever. You interact almost on a daily basis. That's where you spend your most productive hours of the day. And then it builds relationship. Economic relationship is strong in building peace, building love. And where it is lacking, you find that the society tends to have, animals tends to grow in such societies where there are little or less of economic relationships. These are all part of those things that we can build in, we can leverage to build stronger and more resilient and peaceful societies. And I think what is happening in Plateau, for instance, where I live, where it is my state, part of the problem we're having is that with the conflict, so much destruction has been brought on things that are of common benefit to society, things that promote peace, harmony, like the markets. For years, there is no functional market just. And then the relationship between people that hitherto live in the same market that was built over the years is no longer there. Relationship between customers and buyers, what have you, that they are living in the market, irrespective of tribe, what have you, it's no longer there. People now go and build satellite markets in communities where they feel they are safe. But you can't run business, you can't run the society, you can't run the economy like that, where people restrict themselves to areas and then they say, this is where we are safer, with our things, with our goods, and what have you. Government should do a lot to promote integration. Government should do a lot now to restore that, integrative activities within the community, educational institutions, hospitals, and so on. They should be restored. They should be brought back to function so that at least we will have, will continue the way we used to live in the past.
So earlier you mentioned the three major religions in Nigeria, Islam, Christianity, and the traditional religion. Do you think the religious leaders of these groups are doing enough to preach tolerance and harmony?
Well, religious leaders can be categorized into two. That is my own understanding of it. By my own understanding of it, there are those that promote peace. There are those that do not promote peace by their way of preaching, by their conduct. These are the ones that delve into political and other social issues that do not necessarily belong to the realm of faith, what a faith leader should do. And we have so many of them in Nigeria. Unfortunately, they are the ones leading in the social media and so on. So they are trying to overshadow the good ones that are doing well to build peace and harmony. I believe we have to do something. In that regard, I appreciate what the Niger State government is doing in terms of regulating how preachers behave. It is very necessary, it is important. In many countries in the world, beginning from Saudi Arabia, India, Pakistan, Malaysia, nobody goes to the pulpit and stand up and then think of anything that he just wants to bring and say, this is the topic for preaching today. We don't do that. But in Nigeria, it is not like that. People can say anything they want. People can go on social media and abuse anybody in the name of religion. Whether from the same religion, whether from different religions, that is what we are having. And it is high time the government acts to prevent that. So that's the way to deal with those divine elements within the religious community. And the good ones should be promoted. The government should encourage them and should give them, of course, all the support they need to rein in the activities of those ones that are not behaving well. Because why I said rein in, I belong, for instance, I am an official of JNI. And JNI is the umbrella body of the Muslim Ummah in Nigeria, just like CAN is for the Christians there. If these two bodies will be empowered to enforce rules and regulations within the various religious communities in Nigeria, I think we will have it better. And every year before the beginning of the Ramadan, JNI will hold the annual Ramadan pre-Ramadan meetings, lectures, and so on. Set up guidelines for preachers to, comply with during the Ramadan tafsir. But we find that somehow people that belong to some bodies, we find some cases of deviation in one way or the other. But the fact is that the body does not have that power to enforce rigid adherence or to control the activities of those who are against practice, the rules. So I think government should do something to support these bodies compliance so that we have peace.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad, for that. Dr. Muhammad Sani Moody is the State's Publicity Secretary, Jamaatul National Islam Plateau State. So, Dr. Muhammad, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about women as peace builders. Stay with us, don't go anywhere. It's still the Voices on Politics and Business Television. Welcome back. It's still the Voices on Politics and Business Television, and we are still talking with Dr. Muhammad Sani Moody, the State Publicity Secretary, Jamaatul National Islam of Plateau State, and we're still talking about peace. Don't forget, we are celebrating the International Peace Day. It was actually marked yesterday, 21st of September, and it has always been that since to peace actions to make sure
support in terms of peace building. Women are widowed when there is conflict. Women are left with orphans when there is conflict. Women are left homeless when there is conflict. And it's a beautiful situation in which, of course, ordinary that shouldn't have been the case. But interestingly, I must say, when you see that the woman is in a healthiest situation, you see also the positive side of her. She emerges stronger, she emerges with more vigor and determination to see that, of course, life goes on. Play her functional role as a mother, play her role as also a family head in the absence of the man. And then, of course, play her role also in the negotiating table. I have seen them on the negotiating table, arguing forcefully for the rights of women, arguing forcefully for the rights of orphans, arguing forcefully for protection of women, the widows, and the orphans. And that has been very, very positive in terms of you know, it has made a positive impact in the conduct of women and of men, generally who are the warriors in conflict. And I have seen women also making very sound positions, or giving very sound positions for peace in dialogue sessions. I've seen them argue for gender protection. I've seen them argue for lands and the rights of women on property, on in dialogue sessions. Because all these are rights that are trampled upon whenever there's conflict. You find that property rights are affected, you find that gender rights are violated, and so on. And Nigerian women in particular have been very active, have been very positive, supportive, and they have made all their presence felt significantly in this belief. And in some societies also, the role has been much more useful in bringing about calming down tensions where we have it. I can tell you a situation whereby I saw women came out, I saw women playing a very good role in what I'm saying, controlling the attitude of this coming out, even when there's violence on the street, really on the youth to stop conflict, and then it has helped. So really, women have played appreciative roles in peace building in Nigeria. What they need more is maybe the necessary intellectual backing so that it can help them articulate their roles in a better way. And then, especially in parts of the northern states, the northeast, the north central, and so on, because of the level of it, and that their roles are limited at some points. So they need to be encouraged to acquire more education in this building, so that they will also play better. But they are playing very, very positive roles. They are doing very well. They are doing, they are coming up actually. They are coming up actually very well.
Sir, you mentioned the roles women play in the home, in the society, and also in peacekeeping in Nigeria. Would you support a deliberate government quota to include women in peace and security decision making in Nigeria?
Sorry, come again.
I said you mentioned earlier the roles women play in the home, in the society, and also in peacekeeping in Nigeria. Would you support a deliberate government quota to include women in peace and security processes in Nigeria, or even in the world at large?
Oh, very well, very well. You see, if you look at it, for instance, now, you have many IDP camps all over the states. And in managing IDP camps, people are segregated. Obviously, you can't mix men and women, you can't mix children and men. The children are left in the care of the women. Whether the children are boys or girls, they are left in the care of the women. So you find that there are more problems within the female camp than you have within the male camp. And the women manage those camps. Women provide healthcare services for them, except where there are no qualified staff or enough to do it. So really, women need a seat in peace building and security processes in this country. They need it very, very, very. Manning all the IDP camps enough. I've seen it in a situation whereby without the women, it wouldn't have been possible. And even where you have the male camps, the women will go there, provide food for them, cook food for them, and then make sure that the general condition of the camps are maintained. There are roles that are just natural roles for the women to play, and they must play. And then, of course, there is need for gender mainstreaming in whatever we are doing, and security is not exclusive of this. It has to be inclusive in even the security agenda. Gender mainstreaming is very necessary.
Okay, Dr. Mohammed, let's move from the women. Let's go to the government role. So, what more should the Nigerian government do to show genuine commitment to peace building?
Well, first of all, if I may use the general term now that we use, that is good governance. But good governance is broken down into pieces, it will show the need for equity, the need for fairness, the need for accommodation, inclusiveness, the need for caring, empathy, all this we need it from government. And it all now adds up to what we call good governance. But at least in terms of its application, it has to be broken down because there are peculiarities in some areas. In some areas, it might not be the issue of provision of amenities, it may be the issue of security. In some areas, it might be even if there is neglect, social neglect, then maybe there is need for economic inclusion. So all these are elements of the good governance issue that will have to be applied so that in general it provides good governance. That is a key role of the government. And it also has to work so that institutionalize the framework for peace building in all our communities, in all the states, in all the communities. Peace is a priceless commodity. You do it at the national, you do it at the subnational, you do it at the community level. You have to do it. It is a tireless work effort. It has no price and it's costly. It has no price whatsoever. So I think that is the key role of the government. Security, of course, it's there, and they have to provide all the strategies that are there. And then, of course, the government should also devise within the institution framework that I've set for peace building, there should be adequate mechanism for monitoring development within states so that it will enable the government to be proactive through both intelligence gathering so that you know how things are going within a particular state. Government should also find a way, especially the federal government, to bring the attention of the subnationals to issues, emerging trends or signs of violence that I imagine within the community, so that they can be proactive in terms of addressing that one.
So do you think that corruption within security institutions is undermining peace efforts?
Apparently, there is much energy, synergy, except maybe when conflict breaks out and then there is violence, there is bloodshed, and then the security will come in. That is the federal government, and then emergency response to all this labor and what have you. No, it shouldn't be the case. There should be more synergy, more collaboration before, not after the
Okay, so do you think that
that is the government. Maybe when we go to the non-state actions, I can tell you more about it. Emanate from the states, and it is either due to poor handling of diversity, that is management of diversity within the state, or non-sensitive issue the states is placed for attention to it. And then, of course, the conduct of traditional rulers actually are part of the government. So,
okay, so
you find that the traditional rulers have not helped the situation. Their attitude, their conduct, especially to people within their domains, has not been helpful. Some still believe in that affect that all the notion that okay, our community is ours and we must live together. But if you look at it now, the dynamics is so that most of our communities are not. We only find a community that is just 100% homogeneous. In fact, most of our communities have transformed to mixed communities. If it used to be 100% in their marriage or what, their interests must be taken care of. So in fact, often there is neglect, and then it brings tension and conflicts brings up through that. So there is need for government at all levels, federal, state, and national level, to be sensitive to all these issues. And the issue of indigenous state life, it has always been there in Nigeria. In Nigeria, it's one major country in the world that is still battling with this problem. And it is degrading to the image of the nation worldwide. In so many countries that are less endowed, less developed than Nigeria, you hardly hear of such things. A citizen is a citizen of this country. Government should find ways of practically addressing this issue. Saying that it is a constitutional matter which has to be resolved is not correct. It is a constitutional matter, of course, but then, of course, there are certain things in the constitution that have been handled administratively and it has been going smoothly. You have to devise means of tackling all these issues administratively so that we will have peace. We will have peace. Other issues that are there, issues of marginalization and what have you. All these are things that government has to play a key role in. Once these are done, I think it will help us have a much better understanding of one another. Then, of course, there is peace. there will be peace.
Sir, coming down to
Bodies like NGOs, civil society organizations, and so on. Bodies like NGOs, civil society organizations, and so on. It is important that there should be understanding and then tolerance. It is important that there should be understanding and then tolerance, empathy, and then support one another. Collaboration will be. Understanding is very important, and here some of the innocent actors have more roles to play, have key roles to play than others. Take for instance the religious bodies. Take for instance the religious bodies. We discussed it earlier about the issue of provocative preaching, the hate preaching, and what have you. I believe they should turn down on this and promote understanding among advocates of faith. That is why you find that most of these interfaith bodies have been helpful in terms of bridging the gap of understanding that exists between adherents of different faiths. They are doing well and they should be encouraged to do well. And then, of course, that understanding also promotes tolerance, promotes empathy. When things happen, understand it, see it from the perspective of the other people. Understanding also promotes tolerance, promotes empathy. When things happen, understand it, see it from the perspective of the other people. Don't be from your own perspective. That way you would understand it. Not why it's appropriate. You got to understand yourself. And then show you when there is need for it. And then when there is need for collaboration, don't hesitate to do it. So it's very important that there is that understanding, tolerance, empathy, and collaboration for groups of stakeholders that have roles to play in peace building in the country.
Okay. Lastly, before we let you go, Dr.
Sorry,
Mohammed.
let me just add one more thing.
Okay.
And then, of course, in that regard, civic education is very, very important. It's very vital. We seem to be losing it right from school. Civic education is very important, and we have to look at it very well and then improve on what we are doing in that regard. We are doing.
If you could give one practical peace building step for every Nigerian to adopt today, what will it be? What will it be? Just one practical peace building step. One practical peace building step.
One practical peace building effort is you should try to know what your neighbor is doing. You should try to know the condition your neighbor is living, so that you show him love, so that he knows that you believes he's there with you, so that you know that he is there, you are due, so that you know that he is there, you are there for him. The principle of Ubuntu should be a guiding principle in our daily lives, in our conducts. Show love to your neighbor, then the neighborhood will extend infinity.
Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
It's infinite. That is it. Just one practical aspect of this building practice. This is show love to your neighbor, and it begins from there. And it moves.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad Sani Moody, the State Publicity Secretary, Jama'at Nasrul Islam of Plateau State. I think that you embody peace, and you know the steps and the efforts that Nigerians, and not just Nigerians alone, everybody in the world globally are to take. And if anybody listening and watching us today should watch this program, they would understand how crucial and how important keeping peace is in our communities, in our localities, in our country, and even globally. We need to be the embodiment of peace. We need to embody peace because it helps us in our day-to-day lives. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed Sani, for coming on to the show this morning. Thank you so much. It has been insightful talking to you. It has been educative. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so that is Dr. Muhammad Sani Moody, the State Publicity Secretary, Jama'at Nasrul Islam of Plateau State. And we all know how much important peace is to us in our families, in our homes. You can't just stay in a place where there's no peace. There's no way you can stay in a place where there's no peace. I think some of our married couples today, especially the men, will tell you their wives are not giving them peace. I'm not trying to segregate, but I'm also trying to say that many people will even leave their marriages because they don't get peace, right, Joanna?
Yes,
So
that's true.
so we need to understand the importance of peace. I think Dr. Moody actually helped us to understand that today. So I think we have come to the end of the program, but before we go, as the world marks International Peace Day, the call is clear. Peace is everyone's business. Governments, communities, leaders, and ordinary citizens all have a role to play. Because without peace, there can be no development, no justice, and no future. This is the voice we raise today on The Voices. Let's keep the conversations alive, not just for today, but for every day. From me, Fatima Abubakar Oyibo, and
Bruce, Joanna, right?
we say thank you so much for watching The Voices. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and keep watching Politics and Business Television.